don't even know why I'm posting this. Maybe I just need someone to tell me I'm not crazy. Maybe I just need someone to tell me I still have a chance of finding him. A week ago, my best friend Danny went missing. We were supposed to meet up for beers that night. We always went to this shitty dive bar called O'Malley's, one of those places that never ID'd if you tipped the bartender well enough. He never showed up. At first, I figured he got caught up at work. He worked security for some warehouse off the I-90, one of those places where they barely pay you enough to stay awake during your shift. But when I called him, it went straight to voicemail. That was weird. The next morning, his sister called me, asking if I'd seen him. He never came home. His car wasn't in his driveway. The cops got involved, but you already know how that goes. Maybe he left on his own, they said. Maybe he needed a break. Right, because normal people just up and disappear without their wallet, phone, or even a damn jacket in the middle of November. I spent the next few days calling every hospital, every precinct, every morgue. Nothing. His phone was still off. His sister tried tracking it, but whoever had it turned it off or smashed it. The cops eventually found his car abandoned in an alley behind a rundown laundromat. Driver's seat pushed all the way back, doors unlocked. No sign of a struggle, no blood, nothing. But I knew something was wrong. Then last night, I got the email. It came from an address I didn't recognize. No subject, just an attachment, Danny.mp4. My stomach dropped the second I saw it. I almost didn't open it. Almost. I tapped the file and my phone screen went black for a second before the video started playing. Danny was on the screen, sitting in a chair, wearing the same clothes he had on the last night I saw him, a grey hoodie and ripped jeans. He was smiling, but it wasn't right. His lips stretched too wide, like someone had told him to smile bigger, and he didn't know when to stop. His teeth were clenched, his eyes were wide, but empty, like a wax figure of himself. He was talking. "Hey man, it's been a while." He laughed. It was stiff, robotic, like someone was forcing him to. "Sorry I missed you the other night. I got a little sidetracked." His hands were shaking. I don't think I was breathing. My brain couldn't process what I was watching. Danny kept talking, kept smiling. "You know, it's funny. I always told you I'd love to just get away, start fresh. And guess what? I finally did. It's amazing here." His eye twitched. His breath hitched in the middle of a word, like something had just prodded him. I turned the volume up, listening hard. That's when I heard it, the sound of something moving behind him. The room he was in was dimly lit, just a single, bare bulb hanging overhead. The walls looked concrete, like a basement or bunker. But in the shadows behind him I could see shapes. Tall, too still. At first, I thought they were mannequins, but then one of them shifted. Danny blinked rapidly, his smile faltering for a fraction of a second before it snapped back into place. "Oh, and hey, tell my sister I love her, okay?" he said. "She worries too much." His voice cracked at the end. Then the screen glitched, just for a second. But when it came back, Danny wasn't smiling anymore. His head was tilted forward, his hair covering his face. His shoulders trembled. I swear to God I heard him whisper, "Help me!" Then the video ended. I sat there, gripping my phone so hard my knuckles turned white. My entire body felt cold. The file had no metadata, no timestamp, no location. I tried to reply to the email, but the address didn't exist. I don't know what to do. I don't know if I should go to the police because, let's be real, they won't do shit. They'll think it's fake. Some kind of sick joke. But it's not. I know what I saw. Danny is alive, and someone is making him smile. I barely slept after watching that video. My mind kept replaying it. Danny's fake smile, the dead look in his eyes, the shadows behind him. The way his voice cracked, when he said his sister worried too much. I watched the video at least 50 times, trying to catch something, anything, some kind of detail I could use. The walls behind him were concrete, but I noticed something new, a small stain near his shoulder. It was dark, almost black. Blood? Oil? I couldn't tell. I ran the file through every metadata checker I could find. Nothing. Whoever sent this wiped everything clean, no timestamp, no location, just Danny.mp4. I thought about going to the cops, but what would I even say? Hey, I got a creepy video from an untraceable email. Can you help? They'd laughed me out of the station, so I did something I probably shouldn't have. I sent the video to a guy I know, Tyler. Tyler's a hacker, not the Hollywood kind that can break into the Pentagon in 60 seconds, but the kind that scams boomers out of their retirement funds and clones Instagram accounts for fun. He owed me a favor. I sent him the file with a message. Find out where this came from. ASAP, he replied instantly. What the fuck is this? Some horror movie promo? I didn't answer. About an hour later, he called me. Bro, where the hell did you get this? I told him. He exhaled sharply. Okay. Yeah, I don't know how to say this, but this file wasn't sent through a normal email server. It was routed through some kind of black network, like dark web level shit. My stomach dropped. I can't even trace the original IP, he continued. It bounced through like 7 different servers across the world. Sweden, Russia, Singapore. Somebody went through a lot of trouble to make sure no one could track them. I gripped my phone tighter. So what does that mean? Tyler hesitated. It means whoever sent this isn't just some dude in his mom's basement. I felt like I was going to be sick. And, one more thing, he added. I ran some forensic software on the video. There's a second audio track. I blinked. What? There's the main track, Danny talking, but underneath it there's another layer. It's really low volume, like it was meant to be hidden. I boosted it and... Dude. What? I snapped. I think someone's whispering to him. My blood ran cold. I can't make out everything, but they're telling him what to say, like, word for word, say you're happy, say you love your sister. Tyler paused. And there's something else. I swallowed. What? At the end of the video, right before it cuts off, I think I heard screaming. I didn't even realize I was shaking until my phone nearly slipped from my hand. I'm sending you the enhanced audio, Tyler said. But man, listen, whatever this is, you do not want to get involved. He hung up before I could answer. I sat there for a long time, just staring at my screen. Then my phone buzzed. A new file. DannyAudio.mp3. I plugged in my headphones and hit play. At first, it was just silence. Then Danny's voice, clear, forced, fake. Then underneath it, so quiet I wouldn't have noticed if I wasn't listening for it, another voice. It was deep, raspy, unnaturally calm. Smile bigger. Pause. Laugh. Pause. Say it's amazing here. Danny's breath hitched. The voice continued. Say you love your sister. Another pause. A soft, shuffling sound like someone moving. Then almost too quiet to hear. If you cry, we will cut another one. A choked sound from Danny. Then the scream. It wasn't loud. It was muffled, distant, but it was real. Desperate. The file ended. I ripped my headphones off, my heart pounding. This wasn't just some hostage video. This was something worse. And whoever sent it to me, they wanted me to know. I didn't go to work the next day, didn't eat, barely even moved from my couch. I just kept listening to the audio over and over, trying to hear more, trying to make sense of it. If you cry, we will cut another one. Another what? Another person, another body part. I had no idea where Danny was, who had him, or why. But I knew one thing for sure, this wasn't random. Someone wanted me to see this. I needed more information. I called Tyler again. He picked up on the first ring. "Dude," he said immediately, "you need to let this go. I'm serious." "Tyler, I need more," I said, gripping the phone so tight my fingers ached. "Who the fuck sent this? There has to be something." There was a long pause. I could hear him breathing. Then he said, "Look, I did some more digging last night. And I think this is part of something bigger." "What do you mean?" Tyler lowered his voice. "There's a group, an underground thing, I don't know what to call it. It's not some internet rumor, man, it's real. He hesitated. "They make people disappear, but they don't just kill them." My stomach twisted. "They break them," Tyler said. "Turn them into, I don't even know, puppets? Dolls? I don't know what they do exactly, but I found old posts from people claiming their missing friends or family members suddenly reappeared. Except they weren't the same. They were smiling, always smiling, even when they shouldn't be, even at funerals, like they weren't in control anymore." I felt something ice cold crawl up my spine. "The worst part," Tyler continued, "most of those people vanished again, like they were just put back out into the world for a little while, and then they were gone for good." I swallowed hard. "Where do they take them?" "I don't know," Tyler admitted, "but I found something in the audio file." I sat up straighter. "You said Danny worked at a warehouse, right?" "Yeah." "Bro, listen to the background noise at the very start of the video." I pulled up the file and cranked the volume. At first, I only heard the static hum of the recording. Then, faint, almost blending in with the distortion, I heard it. A beeping sound. It wasn't loud, but it was rhythmic. A high-pitched beep, followed by a mechanical whir. My blood ran cold. I knew that sound. It was a forklift. Danny's job had forklifts running all night. The same beeping backup alarms, the same metal-on-metal grinding of pallets being moved. Was he still there? I stood up so fast my chair scraped against the floor. "Where are you?" Tyler asked. "I'm going there," I said. "To the warehouse." "Wait, hold on, that's a bad idea, man." "I don't give a fuck." Tyler cursed under his breath. "All right, at least let me track your location. If something happens..." I hung up. I grabbed my jacket, a flashlight, and, just in case, a knife from my kitchen drawer. Then I got in my car and drove. Danny's warehouse was on the outskirts of town, past an old industrial district where half the buildings were abandoned. His job was at Pinehurst Distribution Center, a huge, grey, concrete building surrounded by an empty parking lot. At night, it looked completely dead. No trucks, no lights, no signs of life. But when I pulled up, I noticed something weird. The front gates, usually padlocked after hours, were open. I swallowed hard. Was this a trap? I killed my headlights, pulled into the lot, and parked near the side of the building. The air was freezing. The only sounds were the wind and the distant hum of the highway. I gripped my flashlight, creeping toward the loading dock. The doors were shut, but one of them had a keypad next to it. Danny used to tell me how lazy the company was about security. I tried the most obvious code, 0000. The light turned green. I pulled the handle. The door creaked open. Inside, it was pitch black. The air smelled like dust, chemicals, and something else. Something metallic. Blood? I stepped inside, my shoes crunching on debris. I clicked on my flashlight, scanning the room. Racks of empty pallets, forklifts parked against the wall. The whole place was dead silent. Then a sound. Not footsteps, not voices, something worse. A low, wet, dragging noise. I turned my flashlight in the direction of the sound. That's when I saw it. A trail of blood smeared across the concrete floor. It led deeper into the warehouse. My whole body screamed at me to turn around, to leave, to pretend I never saw any of this. But I couldn't. I followed the trail. The deeper I went, the worse the smell got. Rotting, stale, like old meat left out in the sun. Then I found the door. It was metal, unmarked, and slightly open. I pushed it. The hinges groaned as the door swung open, revealing a room full of chairs. At least a dozen lined up in perfect rows. Each one had leather straps attached to the armrests. A surgical light hung from the ceiling. It flickered, and on the far wall, a table covered in tools, rusty, blood-stained tools, scalpels, pliers, sewing needles, a handheld drill. My breath caught in my throat, then movement. I whipped around. A shadow darted between the shelves. Someone was here. I stepped back, gripping my knife, my heartbeat slamming in my chest. Another shadow, behind me. I turned just in time to see something lunge. A hand clamped over my mouth. Another grabbed my arm. I struggled, kicked, but there were too many. I felt something sharp jab into my neck. A needle. The world spun. I saw figures, smiling. Then darkness. I woke up strapped to a chair. Thick leather bindings bit into my wrists and ankles. My head felt like it had been split open with an axe. My body sluggish, numb. The air reeked of bleach, sweat, and something coppery. Blood. The room was cold. A single, blinding surgical light burned above me. Shadows flickered in my vision. Shapes. People. I tried to move. I couldn't. A voice spoke. "Ah, he's awake." I squinted against the light. A figure stepped forward. A man in a suit. Expensive. Black. Crisp. He didn't belong here. He smiled. "I was hoping you'd come looking." My throat was raw. "Where is he?" I croaked. The man tilted his head. "Who?" I clenched my teeth. "Danny!" Something in his expression flickered. Amusement. "Ah, yes, your friend." He nodded slightly, and a shadow moved from the corner of the room. A second figure stepped into the light. Danny, or at least what used to be Danny. He looked exactly like he did in the video. Same hoodie, same ripped jeans, same smile. But up close I could see it. The subtle wrongness. The way his lips stretched too wide. The unnatural stillness in his face. His eyes, dead, completely hollow. "Danny," I gasped. "It's me, man. I'm gonna get you out of here." His smile didn't change. He didn't blink. The man in the suit laughed. "Get him out?" He gestured vaguely to the empty room. "You misunderstand. Danny is home." I yanked at the restraints, my pulse pounding. "What the fuck did you do to him?" The man folded his hands behind his back, pacing slowly. "You have no idea how much work goes into a proper smile. How much training it takes to make sure it never fades." Danny's face remained frozen, stretched, like he wasn't even hearing this. I stared at him. They did something to him. Drugs? Torture? Surgery? The man continued, his voice smooth, rehearsed. "Our clients pay a lot of money for this kind of work. Happiness is so fleeting, so unreliable. But we've perfected it. A permanent smile, no fear, no pain, no hesitation." My stomach twisted. "This isn't a fucking experiment," I spat. "You're butchering people." The man stopped pacing. "No," he said softly. "We're improving them." A new voice spoke. "He's almost ready." I turned my head. Another figure stepped out of the shadows. A doctor. At least that's what I assumed from the gloves and blood-stained lab coat. He was holding a syringe. My pulse skyrocketed. The man in the suit leaned down, gripping my chin with cold, stiff fingers. "Do you know why Danny got to send that video?" His voice was barely a whisper. "Because we chose you." My breath hitched. "Some people, you see, aren't fit for our work. They don't survive the process." He nodded toward the corner of the room. "Like him." I followed his gaze and froze. A body, slumped against the wall. Not just a body, a man with a ruined face, His mouth, his entire jaw had been torn open, his lips stretched too wide, too far. Blood crusted the corners, his teeth exposed in a grotesque, permanent grin, his eyes hollow, dead. My stomach lurched. I yanked at the restraints harder, panic surging through me. The doctor approached. "Hold still," he murmured. The needle touched my skin. "Number—" No, I thrashed, pulling so hard I felt something snap in my wrist, but I didn't care. A whisper. "Shh, just relax." The needle slid into my neck. My veins burned. I screamed. Then, darkness. I woke up outside, lying in an alley, cold, wet. My clothes were damp, my hands stiff, my head hazy, wrong. I sat up, my vision tilting. My mouth hurt. Not just hurt, burned. I reached up, felt stitches, thick, tight sutures pulling my lips together at the corners. A smile, a forced, permanent smile. I scrambled to my feet, nearly collapsing against the brick wall. What did they do to me? My breath hitched. I couldn't stop smiling. I dug my phone from my pocket, my hands trembling. My fingers barely worked, but I managed to open the front camera. And there I was, my face, my smile, wide, stretched, unnatural, just like Danny. My heart slammed against my ribs. I dug my nails into my mouth, clawing at the stitches, trying to rip them out. Pain exploded across my face, but they wouldn't break. Footsteps. I turned sharply. A man in a black suit stood at the end of the alley, watching, smiling. Something in my chest snapped. I bolted, ran. I didn't stop. I didn't look back. I don't know how long I ran, but eventually my phone buzzed. A new email, no subject, no sender, just a file. Me.mp4. I stared. My fingers shook as I tapped the video. It was me, sitting in a chair, smiling, and behind me, shadows moved, smiling too.